Welcome everyone to the Cosm Full Moon Ceremony. This is actually the 224th in an unbroken chain of full moon ceremonies. But talk to us, Alex, about the full moon and why we celebrate.
The full moon is a perfect circle of soft light against the infinite starry backdrop of the night. And gazing at the moon, we feel a personal resonance with this giant luminous orb. The full moon is the high tide of the spirit, and when we gaze at it, we're pulled out of our everyday thoughts and return to wonder. Because of the influence of the lunar cycle on the reproductive system, tides, and growing seasons, communities have gathered to honor and celebrate each cycle for millennia. Spiritually and symbolically, the circle is the most basic sacred geometric shape of unity and wholeness, oneness. Furthering the symbolism, a full moon is a reflecting surface, mirroring the greater light of the sun, just as each of us is a sacred mirror, reflecting the greater light of God. Our moon is caught in a gravitational orbit around the Earth, a cosmic lesson of smaller objects circulating larger centers of attraction, a phenomena replicated throughout nature. The Earth is likewise attracted to the sun and locked in orbit around the solar center of our planetary system. The sun orbits the center of the Milky Way. In all these interlocking systems of orbit, the smaller circulates around the larger. At the center is the force of greater attraction. What is the central attraction in our life? Toward what do we gravitate? Being aware, we can choose our focus, and I gravitate toward love. Later this week, Allison and I are celebrating our wedding anniversary on December 4th, and I'd like to share some reflections. What if the voice of God, the voice that loves you more than you love yourself, came out of the mouth of the most beautiful person that you'd ever met? That happened to me 45 years ago when I found my sacred mirror in Allison. For 45 years, she's been a stand for the truth and fury of divine love. Painter, an inspiring muse, lover and mother, faithful co-conspirator, intrepid partner. It was no coincidence that I was with my beloved on my first LSD trip. At 21, madly searching for God, I found her in the flesh, reflected in our love. After LSD, I could no longer deny the importance of a mystical experience and the value and beauty of visionary inner worlds. These insights became the focus of our art. This is my love song, from the place where boundaries have dissolved, and I can't recognize the difference between you and me. Beyond our finite self, our true identity is infinite, immortal light The mystery of our oneness with God is revealed when we love. And in the ripeness of God's current, the energy of infinite love pours through us. Both become channels of one ultimate, boundless ground of being, bliss and timeless awareness. Treating each other with the respect of an equal is a spiritual practice. Seeing ourselves in the beloved, we imagine life from their perspective, develop curiosity, compassion, and trust. Cultivating our good intention to be a benefit to the beloved brings personal transformation. And from the model of a loving relationship and the sanctity of the family, may we cultivate habits of justice and equal opportunity. To magnify this space of love, the highest aim of a mystic visionary artist would be to offer a collective peak experience where boundaries melt and everyone forgets themselves for a moment and awakens in the God space. How can we facilitate this uplifting consciousness transformation? Not alone in these lofty aims, it turns out that there's an entire love tribe around the world finding access to the transcendental realm and making art about it. Visionary artists everywhere are representing glimpses of the spirit realm, creating a distinctive kind of sacred art to accompany the rebirth of sacramental humanity. At this dark moment in a cold season, isn't it astonishing that the immortal light revealed by psychedelics is back, showing enormous promise for the soul healing of the world? The enduring mystical truth, long hidden by prohibitions, is revealed in the sacred medicine. Allison and I orbit close around each other, especially during this pandemic initiation. We're often no further than our easels across the room. Now, the larger force that we gravitate around together is COSM, the creative spiritual community building Entheon, COSM's sanctuary of visionary art. Because COSM has been closed through the pandemic, we keep in touch with the community and update you, connecting through virtual programs. Full moon ceremonies started January 2003 in our Brooklyn loft. And the mission was always to empower the creative lives of everyone and to build sacred space together. The chapel project was a commitment that we made without any idea how to manifest the project. But because of the love that we found reflected in each other, we oriented our lives toward sharing the life-changing visions that had connected us back to love and spirit. You who are with me and yet separate, I recognize the primordial presence of spirit in you, shared between us. A third force holds us, both as one, for a higher purpose, to accomplish something together that we could not do without the other. Thank you for being a sacred mirror for me on the path of spirituality and creativity, relationship, and community. Happy almost anniversary, beloved friend. In a world filled with uncertainty and intense energies of transformation, we are so grateful for friends near and far who have connected with the message of love, peace, and unity through creative expression. Thank you to all who are doing your part to make the world a more beautiful place.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the COSM November Full Moon Ceremony. Each month, COSM features creative offerings from our global community. This first piece is an animated music video by Zip Visuals using art by Chris Dyer and set to the song Dreamsters by Tipper. Thank you Zip Visuals, Tipper and Chris Dyer for that video. Be sure to check out the recent episode of the COSM podcast featuring Chris Dyer. Next up, we have Dr. Delvin Solkinson to share with us design keys for wise wording.
Joyed to be connected across space and time with all of you. I am a permaculture designer and practivist born in Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. Where were you born? Write your hometown in the comments. Environmental scientist Danella Meadows wrote, "The future can't be predicted. However, it can be envisioned and brought lovingly into being. Systems can't be controlled. They can be designed and redesigned. We can't surge forward with certainty into a world of no surprises. We can expect surprises and learn from them. We can't impose our will upon a system. We can listen to what the system tells us and discover how its properties and our values can work together to bring forth something much better than could ever be produced by our will alone. We can't control systems. We can dance with them." COSM is part of our Dance with the Divine, a creative collaboration including people across the planet. Alison Gray calls it a social sculpture, which includes artists in every medium: dancers, painters, writers, thinkers, leaders, designers, gardeners, and visionaries from all fields of human endeavor. Thanks to all of you for your unique participation in this great work. Here at COSM, I help run the Visionary Permaculture Design Program with my beloved wife, Grace. Permaculture is all about relationships. Any design for life, livelihood, or landscape involves cultivating many different relationships. Becoming more conscious of the language that mediates these relationships can help them to become more successful. Words are design keys that can help unlock the next level. Under the light of tonight's full moon, I share learnings from my mentor Luby McNamara's work on cultural emergence, which uses wise wording to cultivate more effective relationships with ourselves and each other. Terence McKenna said, "The future of communication is the future evolution of the human soul." Here is a visionary permaculture design practice you can experiment with in your own life. Try substituting open and positive words for closed and negative ones. Observe how this changes your relationship with yourself and with those around you. Here are some linguistic design opportunities to explore. Change should to could. Don't should on yourself or should on other people. Instead of telling people what to do, suggest things they could consider doing. Affirm their freedom to choose for themselves. For example, instead of saying, "Visionaries should sponsor space to share their art in the extraordinary new edition of COSM Journal," we can say, "Artists could sponsor space in the new journal to be a stand with us, actively participating in COSM and getting global exposure for their art." Change but to and, to raise the vibration. For example, instead of saying, "You are already participating in COSM by watching this broadcast, but you could get more involved by becoming a member," we could say, "Watching these broadcasts, commenting and sharing them is a great way to participate in COSM, and you can become a member to deepen your participation in this temple building mission." Membership includes access to monthly Members Circle online meetups full of sneak peeks and live video time with Allison and Alex. Help create an artful legacy, a sanctuary of visionary art bringing benefit to present and future populations. Change busy to productive. Productive means taking responsibility for our time and avoiding telling the story that we are a victim of busyness. For example, instead of saying, "At COSM we are busy beyond belief," we could say, "During this curious time in the world, our skeleton crew of cosmonauts continue to be profoundly productive in building Entheon and evolving our art ministry with broadcasts, podcasts, and amazing new art products in our online shop. Here are a few more design keys to unlock your next level. Change must do to choose to do. Taking responsibility for your actions. Change deadlines to lifelines. Setting uplifting goals for achievement. Change stressed to stretched. Challenging yourself and pushing through limits can be healthy. Change guys to people, crew, or team. Get with the times, yo. You could even drop the word just, which tends to devalue the statement that comes after it. Remember, success comes from cans instead of cannots. Focus proactively on what you can do to effectively design your communication skills and relationships. Find your own best ways to participate deeper in the COSM community. I'll close with a fitting quote from Audrey Hepburn, who says, "Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible." Happy full moon, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Delvin, for that profound and insightful wisdom drop. To learn more about visionary permaculture, be sure to visit visionarypermaculture.com. Now, it's my honor to introduce Gone Gone Beyond with their song titled Gravity.
One, two, one, two, three.
Oh, saints tonight, come on and celebrate, come on and shine a light. Have faith that I can get myself down if I'm getting too high. I miss my friends, all the sentimental kids and the heavy metal bands I left behind for a lonely open sky. Gravity, don't let go of me. Gravity, don't let go of me. Don't let go of me.
Stargazer, maybe there's no sign of life. Up above us, just a million points of light. Dream chasing me. If you ever get tired of blowing in the wind, you'll come back round. I'll put you 2 feet on the ground. Gravity, don't let go of me. 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 Don't let go of me.
Thank you, Gone Beyond, for that beautiful performance. You can learn more about them by going to gonegonebeyond.com or listening on Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Now, I'd like to hand it off to our very own Allison Gray with this month's Parsha.
Tonight's Parsha is about Esau and Jacob. It comes from the book of Genesis in the Torah. A scroll recounting the history and philosophy of ancient Judaism. A Torah, and often more than one, is honored inside a special ark in every synagogue. The Torah story unfolds in 56 portions, or Parsha, one for each week of the lunar calendar. It starts with the 7 days of creation, then Adam and Eve, and their sons, Cain and Abel, Noah, begat and begat and begat. Then came the first Jew, Abraham, who made a covenant with the one God. The Creator told Abraham he would be the father of a great people. Abraham prospered, and with his wife Sarah, they had one child together, Isaac. Isaac and his wife Rebekah had twins, Esau and Jacob. It is said that Jacob came out on the heels of Esau. The twins were very different boys, and their parents were not impartial. Esau came out a red-haired ruffian who learned early to please his father by hunting and bringing home fresh game. Jacob, on the other hand, enjoyed staying inside to study and learn from the wise men who frequented their dwelling. This pleased the boy's mother. Esau the hunter wore furs. Jacob the scholar wore robes. Since Esau emerged first from Rebekah's womb, he was entitled by custom to inherit the entirety of their father's substantial wealth. Even though Jacob held on to Esau's heels all the way out, Jacob, in adulthood, would have to find his own way in the world without any inheritance. In their youth, Esau, an arrogant young man with an "I can make it on my own" kind of attitude, showed his independence from family by selling his birthright to his brother Jacob in exchange for a pot of lentil stew. Later on, Esau disrespected his family by bringing home 2 foreign wives that he had married without telling his parents or having them at the wedding. This upset Rebekah, who spoke with Isaac, her dying husband, about sending Jacob to live with her brother Laban, where he could choose a suitable wife. The Parsha shared this week in synagogues worldwide is called Vayetze, meaning, and he left. Vayetze is the first word of this portion dedicated to Jacob. You see, when Esau went hunting, Mother urged Jacob to dress like Esau by wearing furs and go to their father's dying bedside. Isaac, nearly blind, was deceived by Jacob's appearance. Dad mistook Jacob for Esau and granted his entire estate to Jacob, along with his final blessing, also traditionally reserved for the firstborn. Well, Esau had, after all, sold Jacob his birthright for a pot of lentil stew. Fearing the trouble that would inevitably follow, Rebekah urged Jacob to hurry off and take up residence at Uncle Laban's farm, to work there and find a suitable wife. On his journey, Jacob slept on the ground, using a rock for a pillow. He dreamed of a great ladder bringing heaven to earth, where the angels walked up and down. Jacob's ladder signifies a spiritual ascension through levels or rungs of initiation. In this visionary experience, the Creator spoke to Jacob, giving blessings and assurance that this dusty ground would be the land of Jacob's descendants, who would spread out like the dust of the earth, far and wide, and be blessed and watched over by the Eternal One. Arising from his dream, Jacob named the site of the dream Bethel, or Bethlehem, house of God, and consecrated it with the stone pillow. And then he continued toward his destination. Soon he saw a well, some sheep and goats. He asked the shepherds if they knew of a farmer named Laban, and indeed they did. And here comes his daughter Rachel right now. Accompanied by her livestock, Rachel was a vision, a beautiful young shepherdess. Jacob immediately fell in love with his cousin. Jacob gallantly removed the stone from the well to help Rachel and her animals to drink. Then, replacing the stone, he followed her back to meet her father, intending to ask for Rachel's hand in marriage. Well, 3,500 years ago, marrying your cousin was prescribed, but Rachel was still too young a maiden to be married. Uncle Laban promised Jacob that he could marry his daughter if he would first tend his flocks for 7 years. Jacob agreed, and after 7 years, the wedding was planned. But Laban turned the tables on Jacob, insisting that in their culture, the older sister must marry first. Laban offered instead his oldest daughter, Leah, a woman with a kind heart and a nice complexion. Laban required of Jacob 7 more years of work tending flocks before being married to Rachel as his second wife. Jacob felt deceived and expressed his anger, but in the end he agreed to stay another 7 years to marry the one he loved. With Jacob's intelligent handling, Laban's flocks increased many-fold, bringing Uncle great prosperity. Between Leah, Rachel, and their 2 handmaidens, Jacob had 12 sons, the 12 tribes of Israel. Well, after 20 years working for Laban, Jacob was ready to leave and tend flocks on his own, having made good on all of his promises. But negotiations with Uncle Laban were predictably contentious regarding leaving with his family and the flocks that belonged to Jacob. God encouraged Jacob in a dream, telling him to return to the land of his ancestors and promising to protect him from harm. Placing his wives and their children on camels, Jacob's family embarked toward Canaan without a farewell. Laban was furious and determined to have his reckoning when he also had a dream. The Almighty warned Laban not to speak good or evil to Jacob. When Laban caught up with Jacob's family, Jacob spoke his mind, giving account of his loyalty and abundant productivity in growing Laban's flocks, keeping for himself only what was promised. Well, both having had their say, and for the sake of all, they made amends and vowed before the Almighty to do no harm to the other. Laban gave his blessing, and they parted ways. This 3,500-year-old tale recounts the deceit and errors in judgment reflected by imperfect people in every generation. One child favored over another inevitably leads to discord between siblings and parents. Disharmony and deception within the family brings unfortunate outcomes. This holiday season, many of us may be missing our families. Some of us may experience estrangement or discord with mom, dad, brother, or sister. May we be grateful for the miracle of our existence and learn from our triumphs and our disappointments of the past. May we pray for our ability to forgive the trespasses and be forgiven for ours by family. may we right now, right here today, envision the best possibility for every family member and send them blessings. On the full moon, we remember our loved ones who have transitioned to the spirit world, and we invite their memory into this ceremony to honor them, to make their memory more alive for you. Speak their name into the space as we offer this recitation.
At the rising of the sun and at its going down, we remember them.
At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them.
At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them.
At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember them.
At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them.
At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them.
As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them.
And when we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them.
When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them.
When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them.
When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them.
As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them.
Okay, is it just me, or does time feel like confetti these days? Apparently, it's almost December, which is kind of news to me, but hey, lucky for us, I can still see what's ahead, and I'm happy to report that there are still a few COSM virtual events left for the year. So lend me your ears, because where we're going, we don't need roads. The December Art Church and Winter Solstice will be joining forces. Tune in on the new moon and be prepared to activate your cosmic creativity. The final full moon of 2020 is upon us, and COSM wants to hear from you. What are your intentions for the new year? Send in a blessing or declaration or both in time for next month's broadcast. Where? TJ, do the thing. Consider supporting small business this holiday season. COSM Shop offers artful treasures and spectacular stocking stuffers for any visionary enthusiast. Visit shop.cosm.org and maybe sign up for the newsletter to stay in the know. Big hugs to all who have contributed along the way. This community is quite literally the source of our strength. Thanks for sharing in the groove. May you be safe, healthy, and vibrant. Back to you, Alex and Allison.
Dedication to love. From the core of our hearts, we dedicate ourselves to the complete and full expression of love in all our activities and in all our relationships.
Love is the soul's medicine, a refuge in our hearts, protecting us from utter despair. Finding compassion in the eyes of the beloved and the stranger gives us the courage to endure.
May love sensitize us with care and wisdom. May love help heal the sickness and wounds of life. May love enable us to forgive and accept ourselves.
May love enable us to forgive and accept each other. May love help us overcome our cruelty and bitterness, our greed and jealousy, our ignorance and delusion.
May love rule our hearts and minds, directing us to reach out, doing our best to benefit others, to heal suffering, to give gifts, to create beauty in the infinite network that is our world.
A heart of loving kindness pours creative grace into the world to alleviate pain and mend the heart net. To the healing art of love, we dedicate ourselves.
And may any merit generated by this gathering be offered to the benefit and liberation of all beings. Happy full moon.
Full moon.